What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. I am really happy to be out here today because, to be perfectly honest, we are in the middle of the rainy season right now in Japan, and I didn't think I was going to get a chance to film this week because we've had rain pretty much every day, at least for part of the day, but it's a beautiful afternoon, so I'm out here filming. And the topic today is a little bit different than what I've been doing recently. The last couple of weeks I talked about things I really like about Japan, little things that most people wouldn't think of. And also a bunch of things that were shocking at first that I don't even think about anymore now that I've been here so long. But today's topic, I'm going to go a little bit deeper actually. I'm going to get into how Japan has actually changed who I am, both character-wise, my personality, and some of the weird habits I've picked up just from living here. So that's the topic today. I hope you enjoy it, and let's roll the intro. Alright, before I get into today's topic, I just want to let you know about a Japanese rainy day tradition. There is a figure in Japanese culture known as teru teru bozu, which is basically something that you put in your window, and that makes it so the next day will be sunny. So on a rainy day, you make this little thing and you put it in your window, and it'll be sunny the next day. Now, there's actually some pretty crazy history behind the teru teru bozu. There's about 4 different origin stories that I've found about it, and a couple of them are pretty gruesome actually, so if you want to look into that you can, but mostly it's just kind of a cute thing, kind of a rain go away. And to be honest, there's actually a technological modern update to it. In fact, if it's raining and you hit the like button, next day will be sunny. And if you subscribe to this channel, you will also have that rain go away extend to a full week. So even if it's not raining there, if you like the video, please hit the like button. But otherwise, you can make the magic happen. All right, let's actually get into the topic now. And I'm going to start off with small things that, just like little habits that I've picked up, nothing that's too major, and I'm going to get progressively more serious in terms of how Japan has actually changed who I am. The first habit is I bow on the phone. It's just when you say excuse me or thank you or you greet people in Japan, bowing is the norm, and people do it on their phones all the time, and it's a habit I've picked up as well. So I do bow on the phone as I'm talking, even though obviously the other person can't see me. The second small habit that I've picked up is that I am much more needy when it comes to things being on time. The famous punctuality of the Japanese people and Japanese culture, Japanese infrastructure like trains, has definitely rubbed off on me. I want things to be on time. I want my friends to be on time. I need myself to be on time. And it's not something that I was really all that concerned with while I was still living in America. Now on the opposite side of that, strangely enough, is that I'm far more patient when it comes to sitting in traffic and being involved in traffic jams. And speaking of patience, I seem to have wandered into a dead end. So that tends to happen in Japan. They don't often mark no outlet streets in Japan, so you just mistakenly wander into dead ends from time to time because there's no sign. So at any rate, in traffic, I find that I'm just far more patient because there's very little reason to get upset. You're just going to be stuck in traffic in Japan if you drive here. Especially at least where I am, in the greater Kanto area, Yokohama, Shonan, Tokyo, wherever I'm driving, there's going to be pretty bad traffic, and you just get used to it. I don't know if it's because I'm from Wisconsin and there isn't really such thing as heavy traffic there. I'm not sure what it is. It just doesn't bother me. I've come to accept that when I'm stuck in traffic, it's going to take the amount of time it takes for me to get where I'm going, and there really isn't anything I can do about that. I think it's that. I think it's the fact that there isn't much I can do about it that makes it just, why worry about something you can't change? Another thing that I can't do without now in Japan, it's a habit that I've picked up, which is having food when I drink alcohol. There's a custom in Japan that when you drink alcohol, you have something called otsumami, which is basically snacks and something that you pair with the alcohol. Now, as a young man in the States, I would just, go to a bar and drink beer, and I didn't feel the need to have food. And I suppose the closest American equivalent is like bar peanuts or something, but it's not quite the same. It's like in Japan, when you get alcohol, you need to have some food to go with it. A lot of times in kind of traditional small neighborhood type places, they will just automatically give you some kind of side dish food with your order of beer. You don't even have to ask for it or specify what you want. They just give you something. And in my home, or I should rather say in my in-laws' home, my in-laws are always plying me with food and anytime I'm going to have alcohol to drink. And so I've just gotten used to it to the point where I really don't like to drink alcohol without having something to nibble on, which is bad because obviously that's more calories and more fattening. So it was probably better if I was just drinking. And probably the strangest, or I suppose most significant small habit that has changed is how I talk. People back home tell me that I speak with a different accent now, and I don't sound like I'm from Wisconsin anymore. They've told me I sound even British or Australian, which is ridiculous. I don't sound anything like a British person or an Australian. But I guess they're just fishing for like how my accent has changed. And really what it is, it's leveling. Like, to make myself more easily understood by Japanese people when I speak English to them, I basically try to eliminate as much sort of local accent flavors as possible. You're leveling down to a very standard style of English, and I enunciate more. It's actually been one of my worries on this channel that I tend to speak too slowly when I talk on camera, and it's something that I've tried to change, especially when I do sneaker videos, because sneaker videos, I always feel like I'm talking so slow compared to other YouTubers. So I don't know, let me know in the comments if you feel like I talk really slow or that I'm being too careful with my words. Alright, there are two negative habits that I've picked up, two things that I do that I never did when I was back in the States, or that I should say I never had a problem with back in the States, and that is answering the phone and using drive-thrus. I think it's just a matter of not wanting to have interpersonal communication with someone who I can't see, because operating in a foreign language is more difficult, and so speaking Japanese will be more difficult when I can't see the person. So I've actually gotten in the habit of just avoiding answering the phone. I just don't like answering the phone, even if it's from people who are my friends and who I know I'll just use English with. It's just become a blanket thing where I do not like to answer the phone. So if you're my friend and you've called me and I haven't answered you, well, I probably had my phone really close at hand. I just wasn't feeling up to answering the phone. That's just become a thing, and I apologize for that. The other one is I never use drive-thrus here. Not a lot of drive-thrus in Yokohama, but out in the countryside where my wife is from, Starbucks and the fast food restaurants all have drive-thrus, and I never use them. I always go into the store, order my meal to go, and then take it out. I don't want to order when I can't see the person's face. I prefer to go inside. It's not entirely rational. My Japanese is perfectly good enough to order things and handle most ordinary business on the phone, but yeah, I just avoid it. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the most serious, and that is every time I go back to the States, it becomes immediately apparent how less carefree I am when I'm in Japan. I'm always somehow more guarded, less bold, less confident maybe, but certainly I am less carefree when I'm in Japan. Something just kind of falls away from me every time I go back to the States. I cease to be so worried about what other people around me are thinking. And that's just a Japanese culture thing, whereas you know, you really pay attention and try to have empathy for others, and your behavior is kind of policed by what you believe your perception will be in the eyes of other people. But the other part of it is also the fact that I'm clearly not a Japanese person in how I look. You know, I'm a blonde, white guy. And so I stand out. And even though I don't really pay attention to that consciously anymore, subconsciously, I'm sure I'm drawing in when I'm in Japan. And I'm less carefree. I'm more cognizant of what other people are going to, or how other people are going to perceive me, rather. And, you know, it's one of the things that made doing this YouTube channel difficult, because I'm walking around and people are looking at me, and I obviously stand out for this. If anything, this has helped me kind of regain a little bit of that carefree feeling that I have in the States, but not entirely. It's one of those things that when I'm getting on the airplane to come back to Japan, the first few times I thought to myself, you know, I'm going to try to keep this feeling of freedom, carefreeness when I arrive in Japan. I'm not going to let Japan make me put a mask back on. And now, more recently, when I get back on the plane to return to Japan, I have that same thought, but the thought that comes after that is, but it's not going to happen. That veil is still going to drop. The mask is going to still come back on. I'm definitely just a more circumspect, careful, less carefree person. I guess carefree, being carefree or not carefree, is the best way to describe the difference, because that's really what it is. When I'm in Japan, I'm just more cautious, and there really isn't anything I can do about it. Obviously, it's not a deal breaker. It's not something that's so oppressive that I can't live here. It's not something like that. But I do kind of wish that I could just let my hair down in Japan, in society, as much as I can in the States, because it really does feel refreshing, like I'm almost being allowed to act like my true self when I'm back in America. And maybe that's one of those things that if you try to live in Japan and it seems like this place is not for you, it might be because you can't let go of that carefree person, or it bothers you too much to have that kind of cautious behavior just become part of you when you're here in Japan. Maybe that's one reason why some foreigners stay and some foreigners have to leave this country. I don't know. That's just another idea that possibly has some merit. Okay. Do you live here? Do you have some similar experiences you could relate? Do any of these resonate with you? Are you thinking of coming to Japan and this is of interest to you to see like how Japan might possibly change you having lived here? If you did enjoy the video, I do encourage you to hit the like button, and I hope you subscribe for more content. I do put out a new video every single Friday about society in Japan, life and culture. And that's it for this one. I want to thank you very much for watching this particular video, and I will catch you next week. Peace.